Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Skokie Plan Commission for August 15th. And hope you're all comfortable. You're all here. I'm not sure if you can hear me out in the hallway. I'm not sure if it's being piped out there, so I apologize if it isn't. Just for everybody's knowledge, the Assyrian Television Network is filming the proceedings of the meeting tonight, so that's the gentleman back there with the instrument, with the camera. So, without further ado, the Plan Commission is composed of members that are appointed by the mayor. We are an advisory board to the Board of Trustees. Our votes tonight in these cases is not binding. These cases will go on to the actual board meeting, which the trustees meet on the first and third Monday of each month. And they will have the deciding vote. And it is just through our recommendation that they get to their decision. So what I'll do, I proceed with the petitioners coming up to present their case, after which I will have the staff present their report to the commission, after which I will have the petitioner come back up for any rebuttals, and then I will open the floor to anyone who has a comment or a question on any of these cases. So first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Scott, second. Patty. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. First case tonight is case 2019-24P, zoning map amendment 8833 Grosse Point Road and 8820 LeClaire Avenue, and related case 2019-25P, a subdivision in the same addresses. Is a petitioner here tonight? Please come up. Come up to the microphone, please. Thank you. Have your name and your address and your affiliation with the...
My name is Imran Kadir. I'm the owner of the property, Orchard Properties LLC. Address is 8833 Grosse Point Road, and it's Skokie, Illinois.
Okay. And there are other members in your party that are going to give testimony and give statements tonight?
Very quickly. Yeah.
Can I ask that all of you who will give testimony and statement to raise your right hand? I'll swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you?
Yes.
Thank you. And Counselor, is there notice and order?
Notice is proper and correct.
Okay. All right. Would you present your case, please? Or whoever wants to. Could we have your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Eric Ephraim. I am the president of First Bank of Highland Park, and I'm here with David Puttress, who's our vice president and market manager of our Skokie Banking Center, our proposed Skokie Banking Center, which will use our trade name First Bank Chicago, a division of First Bank of Highland Park. Thank you for allowing us to speak. We will be quick. We are advised to speak briefly about our plans in Skokie and answer any questions you might have. We will hopefully occupy as a tenant 8833 Grosse Point Road. I believe our request for a building permit is what brought up the zoning issue and why we're here tonight. We're excited to be here. As background, we're one of the 5 largest privately held banks in the Chicago area. We've been in operation since 1955. Only 2 other locations. Our plans for this space are not the typical retail bank branch, but very similar to our Northbrook location. We will be in an office building around 1,700 square feet, not on the first floor. Our Skokie office will be very accessible by train, car, or foot, and a very personal and comfortable environment. We welcome all, the more the better, but not anticipated to have a lot of traffic there, not a high traffic area. We won't have a drive-through. This sort of plan works well for us. It means lower overhead, which also means that we can offer better rates and products for our customers. Also, not being on the first floor of the building, we find is a much safer environment for our employees and for our customers. David?
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes.
Well, good evening. My name is David Puttress, Vice President of First Bank Chicago, a division of First Bank of Highland Park. Over the last 64 years, our bank has been committed to the communities it serves by generously supporting local organizations. We are a current member of the Skokie Chamber of Commerce and the Chicago's North Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau. As a community bank, we support our local organizations, such as the Skokie Park District, the Skokie Public Library, and the Niles Township Food Pantry. I'm also a board member of the District 219 Education Foundation, the Skokie Community Foundation, and serve on Village of Skokie's Economic Development Commission. Well, we look forward to continuing our relationship with the Skokie community through First Bank Chicago. Thank you for your time tonight.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Questions?
Just simply explain the plan of the explain, please, the plan of the building, how the building is physically going to change, if at all, lobby, upstairs. If you could just tell us that, that'd be great.
No, not at all. I mean, I guess the only thing in the lobby, it'll have an ATM.
An ATM in the lobby, but otherwise the building
will be-
footprint and
Will be exactly
structure
the
will
same.
look.
Yeah, we're going to be just in an office suite on the second floor.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Gentlemen, if you'll sit down, I'll have the staff give this report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And who's gonna? Oh, Will, okay. Hey, Will.
Small audience.
It's our summer intern, Will, who prepared this report with Mike. So
Okay,
please go
Will.
ahead, Mike. Will.
Thank you. So you're gonna present both cases? The zoning map amendment and the subdivision?
Mike will do the sub.
Oh, Mike will do the subdivision, okay.
All right, so as for the zoning map amendment, it is currently zoned M1, which is office, assembly, and industry. And it's being proposed that it is zoned over to B3 business, which will allow for more office uses such as the First Bank of Highland Park to occupy this building. This is in order with everything that surrounds it. The comprehensive plan use for this space is pedestrian-oriented mixed use, which will still be the case considering it is close to the Dempster Street transportation hub with the yellow line and the buses there. It is currently surrounded by R5, which is elderly and disabled housing, B3 business, and B2 commercial uses. And in the past, it has been zoned business prior to 1946 on the Grosse Pointe Road frontage and industry on the LeClaire Avenue frontage. And then starting in 1946 through 1964, it was zoned C and R3, both of which meaning two-family residential zone. Starting in 1964, the zoning was updated to M1, and it was occupied by American Colloid Company from then until the late 1970s. And then this building was constructed in 1981 and has occupied that space since then.
Okay. Any questions of the staff as to the zoning map amendment? No? Will, thank you very much. Mike, you gonna present the subdivision case?
I'd like to request that the staff report be accepted as written. This is a two-lot subdivision. Right now, the property is on multiple tax parcels. I believe it's on 7 total tax parcels, and it's going to be subdivided into 2 lots, which will effectively put all the parking and the building onto lot number 1. And then on the east side of the property, adjacent to the Clare Avenue, we've got a monopole antenna, which has continued in use. This was formerly the WCLR building back in the early 80s until I think the early 90s. There was a dish antenna there at one point. That dish antenna has been removed, and now there's a monopole antenna that utilizes that space. So that's going to be on its own lot of record. So this will bring the property into compliance with our code, which requires all the associated parking in the building to be on one lot of record. So we're cleaning things up, and we're defining 2 separate distinct lots for each of the uses on the property. There are going to be 2 dedications of right-of-way, one along Grosse Pointe Road where part of our public sidewalk crosses onto private property, so that will reduce the liability of the property owner, and that they will not be having to deal with the any issues that may happen on the public sidewalk. And then down on the south side of the alley, or on the south side of the property, part of the alley actually crosses over toward the southwest corner of the property. And so again, that's a publicly used area, and we're requesting a dedication of that. Subsequent to the drafting of this staff report, the surveyor who prepared the subdivision pointed out to me that there's also a small part of the public sidewalk at the southwest corner of Enfield Avenue and LeClaire Avenue that's also on private property. And so we're going to have an additional request to put that little piece onto the right-of-way as well. So I'd like to amend staff's recommendations and restate it as staff recommends that the petitioner's request to re-subdivide 7 lots into 2 lots in a B3 business zoning district with a triangular-shaped right-of-way dedication adjacent to Grosse Point Road, comma, a triangular-shaped right-of-way dedication adjacent to the north side of the east-west alley, comma, and a triangular-shaped right-of-way dedication adjacent to the southwest corner of the intersection of Enfield Avenue and LeClaire Avenue be approved, subject to the conditions listed below.
You said that the monopole antenna is active?
Yes, it
Actively
is,
being
yes.
used?
So, just to follow up on Will's presentation, the monopole antenna would become a legal non-conforming use under the new B3 zoning. This is a use that is more for
So
manufacturing.
what happens
but
when they stop using the antenna?
It would, after a period of time, it would not be able to be rebuilt. So it's a use that would not be allowable were it to, cease operation for a period of time.
Can they update the antenna while it's in use?
Yes.
Okay.
They can keep it active,
Repair it,
maintain it.
of course they
Yes.
have to maintain
Yes.
it.
Right. But under the B3 zoning, and the trend in the area is toward business zoning, the use can remain right now as a legal non-conforming use.
Okay. Any questions of staff on the subdivision? None? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who has a question or a comment on these two related cases? Okay. Do I have a hand? Yes? Please come up to the podium. Have your name, please?
Yeah,
Your address?
I'm Janice Toth. I live right across the street there. And I noticed that you're discussing that parcel there
Yes.
on Grosse Point and near Dempster. I didn't hear what they were going to do with it.
I'm sorry?
What are they going to do with that property? I just got here.
Oh,
Because
oh.
it's like busy out there.
We're rezoning the property so they can legally use it as office space.
Oh, so it's
And
not
basically-
going to bother me at all?
No, no. Nothing's gonna change.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck to all you guys.
You know, if you want to leave your name, well, I'll send you a copy of the
Oh,
report
that'd be wonderful.
and
yeah.
notify you when the case will go before the
Sounds
Board of
good.
Trustees.
All right.
And that goes for anybody in the room who wishes a copy of this report tonight. Give us your name and address, and we'll notify you when the case is going before the Board of Trustees. Thank you. Anyone else who has a question or comment on these two related cases?
Thank you, though.
Thank you. Gentlemen, would you please come up?
Yes, sir.
Yes, petitioners. Okay, so you've heard the staff report, you've heard the comment from the lady who lives across the street, and do you have anything else you want to offer?
No?
No? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Do you have any?
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I am ready for a motion on case 2019-24P, the zoning map amendment at 8833 Grosse Point Road.
So moved.
So moved, and
Is that a motion to approve?
motion to approve.
Yes, sorry. Motion to approve.
Franklin, and Commissioner Matei seconds, call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell? Aye. Commissioner Quinn?
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman?
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas is absent. Commissioner Franklin?
Aye.
Commissioner Luxpati?
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman is absent. Commissioner Matei?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. on the case of the subdivision. And don't forget that the staff has amended the conditions. So do I have a,
I move approval as presented by the staff, including the amendment.
with amendments? Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. Call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell?
Aye.
Commissioner Quain?
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman?
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin?
Aye.
Commissioner Lexpati?
Aye.
Commissioner Matei?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. We're looking forward to you guys opening.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Hey, David, you can use the side door there. Thank you, good night. Okay. All right, the cases that everybody's been waiting for. Okay. Next up is case 2019-26P, zoning map amendment at 5050 Church Street. The Holy Apostolic Catholic Assyrian Church of the East Diocese of North America, an Illinois NFP corporation, request to amend the zoning map amendment to change the zoning district for 5050 Church Street from an R2 single family to an R4 multifamily housing to a B2 commercial. And then we have related cases, case 2019-27P, site plan approval, the same address. 2019-28P, parking determination. And case 2019-29P, special use permit, also at 5050 Church. Is the petitioner here tonight?
Yes.
Please step forward. Give your name
My name is Albert Una.
and your relationship to the petitioner.
I'm the president of the Executive Council for the Assyrian Church of the East.
Very good. Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you affirm that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you?
I do.
Sure. And is there notice in order, Counselor?
Notice is proper and correct.
Okay. Are there any members in your group who will give statement testimony tonight?
No.
Okay. Okay. Would you give us an overview of your?
Sure.
We're gonna combine all three cases, so if you've discussed
4 cases.
all four cases.
Yes, good. Good evening, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of His Grace, Bishop Paul, who is the head of our Illinois Diocese for the Assyrian Church of the East, thank you for having us. First of all, though, I'd like to thank the staff from the village of Skokie, who really have patiently worked with us to get us to reach this endeavor and get to today's hearing. We've reviewed all the documentations, we've reviewed all the recommendations, and we will adhere to them. In this regard, I'm assisted by our architects, George and Christine, as well as our special counsel, Tony Kaligarakis. I would like to give you a brief history of our church. The Assyrian Church of the East was founded by St. Thomas the Apostle in AD 33, when he established a church in Mesopotamia. St. Thomas further went on to establish churches in Persia and India. The Assyrian people, having heard the gospel, were one of the first to accept Christianity as the basis of their faith. Our church, Mercedes, is located 1850 West Kyler Avenue in Chicago. This was the first church in the Chicagoland area, consecrated on Palm Sunday, March 29th, 1953, by our late patriarch at the time, His Holiness Mari Shaya Shumwan. The church is located in a residential neighborhood with no parking available to the parishioners, numbering around 250 to 300. In that regard, we want to relocate Mercedes Church and its congregation to 5050 Church Street, Skokie, that has currently 255 spaces for parking and 6 handicap spaces. Staff recommended some changes to add another handicap space, which basically reduces it to 253 spaces and 7 handicap. Just as a side note, the Assyrians have lived in Skokie for over 5 decades and have been good and upstanding neighbors. And as one reminded me today, we like to be like Mr. Rogers, like to be a good neighbor. The Illinois Diocese of the Assyrian Church of the East is a member-driven congregation. The diocese comprises of 5 churches in the greater Chicagoland area. These are Medjugorje, which is in the 7201 North Ashland Avenue in the Rogers Park area. St. Andrews, located at 901 Milwaukee Avenue in Glenview. St. John, located at 1421 West Lawrence in Chicago. St. Mary's Church, which is 660 Lawson Lane, Roselle. And, of course, Marseilles, which is 1850 West Collar Avenue. That's all I have, unless you have some questions.
Any commissioners have any questions of the petitioner?
I have one
Yes.
question. We read in your very well-prepared presentation that you hope and intend to grow, and we want you to grow. Is your growth plan to then occupy the swimming pool area? Because you also said at some point in the presentation that you are going to lock off currently the swimming pool, reserving it for future use. Is that reservation for future use the growth plan of the sanctuary of the church?
No, the plan is to basically use the current gym as a place of worship, and the pool, we're going to basically turn it into a gymnasium area for our youth members.
So if you do grow, so you feel that this space will be good enough to grow not only from the 300 members that you have now to 350 or 400 members?
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay.
For the record, can you give us your times for your services, how many services you have, and what you plan on doing with the building during the week?
Sure. The services are on Sundays. On most occasions, they start at 9 a.m. We have deacons, priests, and sometimes bishops that get there a lot earlier because of Sunday morning prayers. The actual service starts at 9. It lasts for approximately 2.5 hours. As soon as you take the communion, they basically go into the fellowship hall, which is where we're thinking about the dance studio, turning that into a fellowship hall.
Mhm.
And we have tea and cake and biscuits and things like that. Typically, we also have some Bible study going on at the same time. Parents bring their kids. They go into Bible study. And once the Bible study is done, once the sermon is completed, they bring them out to take communion as well.
So you have just one service on Sunday?
Yes.
And during the week, do you have any activities going on?
Fridays, Bible study. That's pretty typical.
Mm-hmm.
During the week, if there's a bereaved, many families can't really have the amount of people come to their houses, so what they do is we allow them to use the hall to welcome and accept comforting.
And I understand you're going to maintain offices there too?
Well, we have 53 offices, so we're thinking some of the clergy will maintain some office there as well, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to establish the kind of traffic and flow during the week into the facility. Is what I'm trying to establish here.
Yeah.
Commissioner Quinn?
Hi.
Hi.
Could you elaborate further on the possible Assyrian Food Festival? Is that inside the building? Is it out on the parking lot?
No,
What do
the
you
Assyrian
imagine?
Food Festival, we'll have our annual third one actually next Sunday, or next Saturday and Sunday. That's held in Morton Grove Park District. So our intent, I know Mayor Van Dusen has said that he would like to have that in Skokie.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
So there's a baseball field right north of the facility, which is where we'd like to have it.
Were you a little surprised when you acquired this property that the zoning is what it is currently?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Especially as what the use was.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Outside of regular services, I assume we'll have weddings? Or no?
Wedding service,
Wedding service, but no banquets?
no banquets.
Okay. Any other questions of the petitioner?
How does this church relate to the Assyrian Cultural Center on Nile Center Road and Church just a mile away?
That's a cultural center. There is give and take between us, but that's about it.
It does not have services there.
No.
It does house it does at times and could in the future house banquets for those services that are held at the
ANCI?
church.
Yeah, it currently has banquet facilities, and it does do that, yes. But we have nothing to do with that.
But it is the Assyrian community's
Yes.
cultural
Yes.
and meeting center.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. If you're finished,
Yes.
I will have the staff come up and present their cases.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not yet. Not yet. Not at the moment.
But we'll invite it in a moment, after the staff.
Oh, Will again. Hi, Will.
Hi.
Are you presenting all 4 cases, or are you
Just the zoning map.
Okay.
So I request to have the staff report entered into record as presented.
Granted.
All right, so for 50/50 Church, we are requesting that it go from R2, which is single family, and R4, which is multifamily. The R4 is along the Church Street frontage, to B2 commercial. The purpose behind this would be to allow the church to rent out some of those mini office spaces that they do have in that facility to other uses in the future, should they choose to do so. So it is surrounded on the north and the east by R2, which is a single-family district, as well as R4 along Church Street. And then it is surrounded on the south and west by M2 Light Industry. As you can see on the map, directly to the west is a large utility substation run by ComEd. So the comprehensive plan does define this as a residential zone, but this use would be fitting with the comprehensive plan, considering it would provide somewhat of a buffer between the existing residential zones and the industry to the opposite sides. So in the past, this zone was zoned business along the Church Street frontage prior to 1946. And then since then, it has cycled through the different classifications of zoning, but it has always been multifamily zoning along the Church Street frontage and single-family zoning along the back portion of the lot. So the Jewish Community Center was granted a special use permit in 1968 to operate under the R2 and R4 zoning. So part of the purpose behind changing it to B2 would be to allow a church to operate on this site. And the site has been vacant for the past year or so.
Okay. Any questions of the staff on case 2019-26P?
You brought up something that I don't think I read previously, that it was the staff's thought that the church's intent is to rent out non-church space in the building to outside users?
That is something that would be an option in the future.
Is it something that the church has asked us for? If it is, I think, in my experience, it's the first time I've heard of that in a religious institution in our village, where we have said we are welcome to a mosque, a synagogue, a church, and yet the church has this other purpose of renting out its office space.
So I do know that the idea behind that would not necessarily even be for business specifically, but would be to perhaps promote other nonprofit uses or other church offices to be there instead of occupying a separate structure, since there are those office options in that building existing.
To answer your question,
Yes.
the church is not interested in renting out any portion of the building. They would only like to operate as a church. They are not a social organization. They're not going to have a health club there. It's a church.
Okay. Any other questions of staff? Okay. Can I ask everybody to kind of turn off your cell phones or silence them, please? Thank you. Thank you, Will. Okay. And you're going to present
Yes.
the next 3 cases?
Next 3 cases.
Okay. Next three cases will be presented by Peter Pyre.
Hey, thank you, Chairman. We have three remaining cases involving the church, and I ask that the staff reports be entered into the record as presented.
Granted.
And I'd just like to give a little bit of summaries. And I'd like to take them out of order because, well, the important thing on a church and other assembly uses is actually the parking, and is the parking requirement met. So I'd like to go over the parking determination first, which was prepared by a professional traffic engineer. I'm sure she's here somewhere, maybe not, but they made an analysis. And in the past, we used to look at religious uses as one parking space for every 4 seats. And we found that that's not the case in modern churches and synagogues and other religious uses. Usually the parking requirement is much more intense. So this was analyzed, and the parking recommendation from their professional traffic engineer was 2.25 spaces, or 2.25 seats per parking space, which would bring it up to 178 parking spaces required for the site. And that's that would give you a seating of 400 people in the building. And it also is a parking, there's 261 parking spaces on the site, so there's adequate parking for the assembly use, which is the most intense use of the building. There was brought up that the upstairs is offices. That was used by the Council for Jewish Elderly, or the CJ. CJ. And that space is going to be used for their own purposes. So the account is accurate, we think, and certainly will be less intense than the previous use at the site, which was also an assembly use. So that's case 2019-28P. And so the recommendation is 1 parking space for every 2.25 seats. The Plan Commission in this case is a final hearing body, and that would not go to the village board for approval.
Any questions about the parking, by the way? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, proceed.
The next case is case 2019-27P, which is site plan approval. Because this site is in a business district now, or going to be recommended to be in a business district, or even if it would still stay residential, because it's over 1 acre in size, it needs site plan approval. The it's facing in the wrong direction only because I can't fit it on the projector. But basically, the petitioners are going to use the site plan as is. Some minor changes in the parking lot to increase the number of handicap spaces, the bicycle parking, things like that. But the overall site plan is the same. The residential area to the east, which is below here on Lawler, is protected. Oh, I got that. For the most part. And there is no driveway access or anything to that neighborhood. So, and there's also parking restrictions in the area, which makes that everybody will be parking on site, and there's more than adequate parking to meet the needs of the use. So in this case, we're again recommending approval based on the overall site plan, which has worked for many years and we believe will work very well for the church use.
Okay.
One question. Why were there parking restrictions placed in this area on the side streets?
Well, there's, I believe because of the different uses in the area, there was a parking restriction. There's a parking zone in the area. And also Lawler is very narrow. And so on the east or the west side of the street, there's a restriction because of snow plowing and other concerns that makes it a problem. It's a one-way street also, and that it's so narrow, and that's why it's configured that way.
Okay. Any other questions from the staff on the reports? Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes. I've noticed that the entryway, there are 2 ways in and 1 way out going east. Is any thought given to changing that, or is that going to remain the same?
Well, I know we have looked at it. I think the Western Drive was a little different. I don't know if you've noticed anything on that, Mike. You made some comments.
So presently, the eastern driveway, I believe, is in only. The western drive only is exit only. And we're proposing two-way, I believe it's two-way traffic at both driveways.
Okay.
So it's wide enough to accommodate that.
Okay. Any other questions? Any questions for the staff?
Okay.
Thank you, Peter.
So the final case is a special use case in a commercial district. The churches and other religious uses are special uses. And as the site plan has been used for assembly purposes for 50 years, we feel that this would still work and that there are no issues involved here. Interesting thing, the staff report restricts the assembly area to 300 square feet. This is the gym that's being converted to their sanctuary. But the traffic analysis would allow them to have 400 use of the building. So there are two other assembly areas in the building where the where they could have TV sets or other ways of seeing the programming if they cannot use the assembly area. So that's about it. I mean, it meets the requirements. There's excess parking. We don't see any problems with the operation of the use.
Any questions of staff? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna just, at this time, I'm gonna open up the floor to anybody who has a question. I believe a gentleman in the back there had a question or comment. Please come up. If you would give, along the wall there, if you give a little aisle, clear up a little space for people to get to the podium, please. Anybody want to come up to speak, or? Right to the microphone, sir. Hi, good evening.
My name is Arthur Cano. I live in the village of Skokie for the past 10 years.
Have the address, please?
7450 North Lincoln Avenue.
Thank you.
I've been a member of the Church of the East since I was baptized many, many years ago, 84 to be exact. Our church is one of the oldest churches in the community of Christians. The church services are conducted in the same language that Christ spoke, Aramaic. There are many Assyrians that live in Skokie, and many are coming every day. I'm here to support the church's effort to retrofit the Weber Center into a church and classrooms. In keeping with the church's policy to be close to its members, the Skokie location is a desirable project. With due respect, when possible, I urge the board to quickly approve the church's request for permits to operate. Thanking you in advance. I'll leave this copy for
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to please come up? And again, if you give us your name and address on the sign-in sheet, we'll give you a copy of the report and notify you when this case will go before the board.
I'm Robert Dressler. This is my wife, Sherry Dressler.
Hello.
We live at 9234 Laverne. And we are attending, I love the church. I'm God-fearing myself, but I am questioning your parking. Okay, so you have 260 parking spaces for currently 300 families, and you're looking to grow to 400 families. And I love Skokie, but they messed up on our street and Lawler at church because of the multifamily. We have a one-way street on Laverne, there's a one-way street on Lawler. There's no parking as it is now. period. We have to park a block and a half away to get to our house at night. So when this happens, what happens to our street parking? I have no problem with it if you guys can put permitted parking for homeowners, period, on Lawler, Laverne, and Lyons.
We've been in with the engineering department for the last several months discussing this, and they said if they do a permit on our street, then it's open to everybody. I have to park around the block on Lyons, but I have to remove my car by 9 o'clock because that's a different permit, and I have to walk to my house, so.
Well,
And
what do
like
you,
when
what
the
do you
stadium
attribute,
has
what do you
events-
attribute to the lack, why is there a lack of parking then? I mean,
Because
the site's been empty for over a year, and you're still having parking problems?
Nobody parks there. It's the fact that
No, what I'm saying.
The apartment buildings on Church have more cars in per capita in their apartments. So say it's a family of 4, all 4 people park. They don't have enough parking in the apartments.
say they park on your
Church.
street.
Yeah.
right in front of our house. So, and we deal with that every day. That's fine. We're coming to grips with it. But if we have more parking on these other streets, it's going to bear burden on us, and we don't think that's fair. So as long as you guys can come up with a plan for parking, and it's not going to inhibit our being able to park in front of our house or around our house, bless you. Seriously.
Well,
So,
we have determined that what the parking is there, and we think we have a viable formula for that. Now, since they are under special use, if you find that is causing you some detriment to your parking in the future when they're established, or contact the village and we'll
So
see.
we have contacted the
Well,
village.
no,
no,
what I'm
it
saying,
has
what I'm
nothing
saying
to
is
do with this
when they
property, though.
become established here, I mean, you have a problem that's not related to
Not
this
at all.
property.
Right, but it's only gonna get worse
Well-
if the church grows. That's the whole
Well,
thing. If the church grows and
And
you
it will.
exceed your
All we can do is monitor that now.
yeah. Well, we can work towards
Please. Well, just let
permanent
us know.
parking or something
Sure.
later on for those
But as to the
streets.
people on church parking on the street there, there's nothing that within our purview that we can do for that. I mean,
You can't do anything if somebody from the church wants to park on the street.
I'm talking about the people who live on church, on the,
Oh,
apartment
we know
buildings.
that.
Yeah.
We know that. We're just saying
yeah.
we don't need any more
But
population of cars.
if you find that your parking is even further eroded because of the church, then let us know and we'll talk to the church and we'll see if we can do something about it.
Okay,
But until then, there's nothing we can do.
that's fine.
Okay, thank
We
you.
got it. Thank you very
Good
much.
luck, everybody.
It'd be great.
Anyone else in there, out in the audience who have a comment, question on these cases? I'm seeing none. Okay. Sir, would you come back up to the podium? So you listened to the comments of the staff and questions of the commissioner. Do you have anything else to offer?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. And, let's see, at this time, we'll
Put to a
move
vote.
for a motion on the cases. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready for a motion on case 2019-26P, zoning map amendment at 5050 Church. Commissioner Mitchell, Commissioner Lexpati,
Motion to approve.
motion to approve as,
Yes.
okay. Okay, call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Quain,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Lexpati,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei, and I'll vote aye. In case 2019-27P, site plan approval, also at 5050 Church. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion
To
to approve.
staff's
presented.
as presented by staff?
Yes.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner, was that Commissioner Matei? Thank you. Call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Quain,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Lexpati,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei, and I'll vote aye. On the parking determination case of which the plan commission is the final authority, Case 2019-28P. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes.
Staff's, Commissioner Mitchell and Commissioner Franklin seconds. And this is accepting the one space per 2.25 seats, is that
Yes,
Commissioner?
that's
Thank
correct.
you. Call for the vote, Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Quain,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Lexpati,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. And a special use permit for 5050 Church Street for a religious assembly. Do I have a motion? Commissioner Matei is presented, and Commissioner Lexpati, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Call for the vote. Commissioner Mitchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Quain,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Lexpati,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. I thank you for considering Skokie. Welcome to the neighborhood. Now, okay, let's not forget, you still have to go before the Board of Trustees. Okay, and we will notify you when that meeting will occur. Again, they meet on the first Monday and first Thursday of every month. Welcome to Skokie. Glad to have you. With that, this meeting is adjourned.